Wake up, wake up. Damon and I have patched things up. It was ugly. There were some dark moments. I got to say it was touch and go there for a while. Whew. But we're back, and it's April 14th, and the draft is approaching, and there's no time to bicker. Let's go right now.
They haven't signed Brock Purdy yet. Is that a huge mistake? Larry, go. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, April 14th, and it's great to have you back here. Thanks so much for coming on back to Wake Up. Yeah, we fight sometimes. We don't see it the right way. We don't agree on everything sometimes, but that's what makes this show a pretty damn good show. It's great to have you back here. Hit like and subscribe if you would, please. And it is great to have you here. As always, the Blues brought to you by Ike's, our good friends at the Dubliner. Larry, hit them sponsors. And then we got ourselves a fun exercise for this draft to hop into. Larry sent me a text last night, and I was up to 2 o'clock in the morning trying to make today's show happen. Let's go.
Well, you know, it's funny. As we get closer to the draft, you know, we want to give you guys compelling stuff, but we also don't want to repeat the exact same thing that we've done. And we're in that zone, right? I think everybody who's been talking a lot of draft and a lot of Niners, we're all in the zone together, which is we've talked about it, we've mocked it, we've analyzed it, we've broken it down, we've crunched it, we've given you every wrinkle possible, and now the hay's in the barn, as they say. And it's all ready just to start drafting, except it doesn't start until a week from Thursday. So what do we do between now and a week from Thursday? And that's do some creative. I think we should do, and I said this to Damon last night, we should do on this stream what the Niners are doing, what the Titans are doing, what the Eagles are doing, what the Ravens are doing. You say, what are they all doing? What they're doing is they're doing these little exercises where they say, hey, the guy that we really want's gone. Every time we come up to pick the guy that we really want's gone. Who's next? What do we do? Somebody calls with this trade. What do we do? They role play. They role play so that, and they do it hundreds of times, I believe. At least the guys who run the draft do. I don't know if every guy in the organization does, but they go through these exercises. Hey, let's emphasize speed. Let's emphasize size. Let's try to hunt for some small school guys. Let's go for nothing but power conference guys here.
Let's pretend that every single draft pick you make or want is off the board, the pick before you go.
Right.
Now what do you do? What do you do? So here's the thing. Or
just an exercise of like, you know, and then, you know, we've all done the mocks, right? So, hey, you can't have 4 guys going in the first round spread over the first 5 picks. You know what I mean? You just can't. So what we decided to do was not just do a mock, because anybody can do a mock, but we wanted to do a mock that actually had some parameters, things that you have to get done. Because every team goes into this thing, and I kind of believe, Damon, that's where the teams are at. They have some parameters of what they want to get done. So this is how we laid it out. This is what 49ers have 11 picks, including the 11th pick. They may wind up with more picks. They may wind up with less. For this scenario, we just gave them their needs. This is what we viewed their 10 needs as: defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, free safety, corner, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, swing tackle, interior offensive line. And then, so that's 10. And then we threw in 1 wild card pick and 1 trade target. So what we're going to do is Damon and I are each going to pick a player who fills each need in this stream, and then we'll compare and contrast our 2 lists. The only rules, you can only take 1 player that is slated to go in round 1.
Right.
Okay. And that's difficult because that round 2 pick is always going to be a little debatable, because there's probably about 50 guys who were slated in one mock draft or another to go in round 1. Right. So the round 1 thing, we'll be liberal with how we view that, but only 1 player from round 1. And if you try to take somebody You try to take 2 players in the top half of the round, we'll probably go, no, you got to pick somebody else. You also have to pick one. You have to fill one hole with a player that is not going to be drafted.
Right.
So one of these needs has to be a UDFA, as they call them, an undrafted free agent. And we're deeming that. You say, how do we come up with that? Damon and I have been looking at the Draft Tech draft breakdown, and on their prospect, on their positional rankings, they have Cam Ward listed as 1 overall and 3. So they think he's going to go in the first. He's the first quarterback, but he's going 3rd off the board. They have Shedeur Sanders going 9th. They have Jackson Dart going 32nd. Well, if they have a quarterback here named Max Brosmer, who's 286. Any quarterback or any player that's lower on their board than 257 is considered an undrafted player. And you have to have one undrafted player.
Right.
So you have to have 1 first-round pick only. You got to fill one need at least with an undrafted player. You can fill multiple. You have to have 1 veteran trade target, and you got to have 1 wild card. And the wild card is just deemed as 1 hole has to be filled by a pick that makes no sense at all. Or it doesn't even have to be a hole that has to be filled, but you have to make 1 pick that makes no sense at all.
Real quick, I want to lean into Red Jet, who says, let the dad bod battle begin. Love to you, Damon and Larry. Play nice today. And we have a little game here. So here we go. Red Jet's been a member for a long time. Great to see you, Red Jet. So here's the deal.
So
like Larry just said,
that makes sense.
We are working off. If you want to open up your, interwebs and play along, go to drafttech.com. That is where we're working from. And basically the rules are there are 11 needs. You only get 1 established first rounder by Draft Tech. And then you got to backfill. No double dipping. You got to fill all your needs here. So it's an interesting exercise. And I tell you, it was a little bit like a fire drill. I mean, it really was a valuable draft exercise because you almost had to fill the draft backwards. At least that's the way I went about it, Larry. Think
about it this way, Damon. Look, I think teams actually do look at it that way. Okay, so let's talk about it for a second. You have some needs. Let's just say you had your local pro day the other day. You had a bunch of guys come in. Some of those guys are probably, local guys who are not even going to be drafted. What if you found some player in that local pro day that you're like, dude, I love this kid? Well, what if he played, I don't know, wide receiver? Well, maybe you get to day 3 and you're like, you know what? Or maybe you get to day 2 and you're like, you know what? I was going to consider a wide receiver or a running back in round 2. Now I'm not going to consider a wide receiver. Why? Because we've got the inside track to get this guy after the draft and we love him. And for the 49ers, heck, they've gotten some really good players after the draft.
Right.
So
now I already know the number 1 comment in the comment section is going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you waited until the 5th round to take position X, Y, or Z. Well, that made this draft difficult because you started things up.
Right. And then when we talked before the show today, just listening to your methodology and my methodology, they're a little different. So some people would look at it as, hey, my primary need's defensive tackle. My first pick's going to be a defensive tackle. My secondary need is an offensive left guard. Man, my second pick is going to be an offensive left guard. That's fine if you want to. Some teams will use that methodology. You know what I mean? So that's fine. Or they may go, you know what? We think the board is, we love, Malik Mustafa in the 4th round. So even though we're debating in the 1st round between 2 safeties and 2 offensive linemen, you know what? Because we got Malik Mustafa that we think we can get in the mid rounds, we're going to go for the non-safety early on. So everybody's got a different methodology. All I'll say is
you're hedging the bets.
Fill as many needs as possible.
Yeah.
We got to fill your needs. So let's go through it. Let's just start right out of the chute. And we're going to start.
Here's the thing. We're going to start. We're going to go through the defensive positions, then the offensive positions. So we will be going out of almost draft order based on position. So let me go first. Let me set the example.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go first. And let me what I'm showing people here is Draft Tech. So we're just going to leave this board up so you guys can see I'll move it around as Damon and I shop for players so you guys can see. But basically, Draft Tech is the website. This is what this page looks like. This is the moniker, or this is the little thing up top.
And for the sake of discussion,
it says
we don't know who picked.
These are the choices.
Yeah, right. We don't know who went where, but the first 32 prospects are the first round, meaning nobody who's listed among the first 32 prospects can be picked in the second round. So now we're going to go D tackle, D end, linebacker, free safety, corner, and then we'll get to the offense. Like you,
and
Larry,
you can have me shop around if you're not sure like where guys are, because like that first round, as I said, it's hard to know exactly. Like in this Draft Tech, for example, they have Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant firmly in the first round, where some of these other mocks or some of these other things have. So
Larry, I tell you what, scroll that back up, because the name that I'm starting with is right there, because
who do you
obviously got? Defensive tackle is a very important position of need for the 49ers, but I'm not going to spend my first round pick on it. I am going to spend my second round pick. With the 43rd pick, I'm taking Texas's Alfred Collins. He's one of the best against the runs at his position in the nation. He's got the size that the Niners need. He has played a massive amount of college football over 5 seasons, 1,800 snaps on his body in the Big 12 and in the SEC. He has played well against the big boys, and he has only played against the big boys. I think Alfred Collins is there at 43. I like him at 43. I'm taking him at 43. And he's a defensive tackle that I hadn't even really thought about that much until last night. And I do. I kind of like him. And I figured he was there. So I took him.
And you're putting him down as your round 2 pick. Okay, good. Okay, so for my defensive tackle position, and it's tough because, man, there's only so many you can't fill every need, and you got to ask yourself, where can you get us? The Niners need starters at defensive tackle. But I'm going to go with your guy, CJ West from Indiana.
You're not getting to D tackle until later in this draft. Okay.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I have that down as round 4. And some people think he's going to go in round 3. There's so many defensive tackles. Somebody's going to slip to round 4. Kuiper and Field Yates thought he would slip. So I'm saying CJ West is my defensive tackle, but I'm taking him in round 4. All right. So now we're at defensive end.
Again, another priority, and this is where I'm using a 4th round pick. Pick number 113 for the 49ers. I think he's the best edge player at getting around the corner, just around the quarterback at this position. Yep. I'm going with Barron Sorrell out of Texas. Again, I'm double dipping on Texas's defensive line here. He is one of 4 Longhorn defensive players with 10 or more tackles for a loss, 5.5 more sacks throughout the season. He's the only defensive player to be credited with double-digit quarterback hurries on that Texas defensive line. Again, all of the sexy name edges are off the board by the time I'm picking edge in the 4th round, but I have started 2nd round defensive tackle out of Texas, and I'm coming back with Barron Sorrell, the defensive end out of Texas. Pick number 113, 4th round, Larry.
Man, you're turning, Kyle, of course, went to Texas, and now he's
that has a little to do with it, too. I'm not going to lie.
He's going UT to start. All right, I'm going defensive end here. I'm going to use my 2nd round pick for Oluwafemi Oladejo. And I do think that this could maybe be a 3rd round pick, to be honest, because I think there's a very good chance he could be there in the 3rd round. But I'm going to take him in the 2nd round. Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA. There were Tony Pauline said the Niners really like this kid. I really like this kid. You can kind of tell this kid's got an incredible personality in addition to being a great pass rusher. He's raw. He hasn't been a pass rusher very long. He was a stacked linebacker a year ago. but he showed a lot of
6'3",
development.
260. Does he have enough sand in his pants to fill the position? Hold that edge.
I think I like him a lot. I mean, I think this is a good player who has the frame to maybe even put on 5 or 6 more pounds. I like Oladejo. I think in Chris's system, he's going to be really, really good. So Olufemi Oladejo to the Niners in round 2. That's my defensive end. All right, now we're moving to linebacker. Who do you got at linebacker and where?
5th rounder, pick 147, Teddy Buchanan out of Cal. First team All ACC. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the production. You gave him a very good review on the local pro day, Larry. That makes me like him. Get a Cal guy in there, help sell tickets. Maybe not. Maybe that doesn't have anything to do with it. But he's a good player. And again, I am done being able to pick exactly who I want here at linebacker because I'm in the 5th round. And at 147, I see an awful lot of value out of a kid who, stepped up with a transfer, came and played really good football at Cal in a big conference. So I'm taking him. Teddy Buchanan, 147, 5th round.
Love it. Great pick. Teddy B, St. Ignatius Wildcat, went to UC Davis, finished up at Cal.
Do you have any idea how much construction is going on at St. Ignatius right now? When's the last time you drove past your high school, Larry? They have digging like a 75-foot hole.
I know. Well, they're taking I believe, the commons area, which was like the lunchroom, which is an incredible room, and the Jesuit quarters, and I believe they're turning that into another school building. So yeah, major construction at the prep. And he was a great St. Ignatius Wildcat, Teddy Buchanan. I'm gonna show loyalty. I had 2 of these guys on my show, on my channel in the last month, and I want them both. Eugene Asante and Chandler Martin. I guess if I have to choose, I'll choose Eugene Asante. But I really want them both. The linebacker from Auburn, just, once again, what you lost in Dre Greenlaw is you lost a guy who the game and the competition is so vitally important to him. And that's what you lost. You lost not just a great player, a great dude, everybody loved him, but you lost a guy who's like playing with just like incredible urgency. So to me, you need to replace that. That element is really vitally important. And Eugene Asante plays with that level of urgency. He's a smart player. He's a cerebral player. He's a physical, violent player. If you're not really sure about this kid, go watch the YouTube interview I did with him a couple weeks ago. He is the real deal. His brother played in the NFL, Larry Asante. So he knows, he knows, like when you talk to him, he understands there's a whole lot more intricate parts of a NFL defensive game plan than there are in college, where some guys find that out once they get there. Well, this guy's brother already was in the league, so he knows that, and he can speak to it. And he's so smart, so violent, so physical, such an alpha. The Niners need a few alphas. So Eugene Asante is that alpha. He's a little bit undersized. I also like Chris Paul from Ole Miss, another guy this is an amazing day 3 outside linebacker. Yeah. Or day 3 undersized linebacker draft. It's an amazing draft for undersized linebackers. Asante, I think, is the best of them. I love Chandler Martin as well, man. I have a hard time picking between the two. Asante's a little bit more physical, a little bit more size to him. So I'm going to say Eugene Asante.
By the way, this is one of those I thought I was going to be able to get. Chris Paul, Pooh Paul is his nickname, the linebacker from Ole Miss. But again, he was off the board based on the rules you and I had for this draft. So I like that pick. I do. Now we're at free safety, Larry. And this is where I'm stretching a little bit. You said you need a gamble. Here's the thing. I am airing out of natural position to just get a football player here. Free safety. I'm still in the 5th round here, and I'm getting a hell of a player in the 5th round. Hunter Waller, the safety out of Wisconsin. Now, he's definitely more of a strong safety. 11 games, all at safety for the Badgers. He led Wisconsin in tackles. He was even better in his 2023 season than he was in 2024. Is he the perfect fit? No, but I'm getting desperate here. It's the 5th round. I'm running out of the guys that I wanted because I went in another direction earlier in the draft that I didn't think that I was going to go in. So I'm in the 5th round here for a safety, and I'm taking the kid from Wisconsin, Hunter Wohler. Is he a free safety? Not really, but playing safeties out of position is kind of what the Niners do these days.
It's good. That's a good pick. A lot of people really like him. This is a tough call here because, I really think this is an important spot. I mean, you're going to play you have Malik Mustafa. You got to have that free safety. You got to have that guy who can play the deep middle. I mean, you think of the Legion of Boom, that had Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas was essential. You had to have
in the room, Gus Bradley.
Meaning, you mean that? Yeah, well, that he wants the Legion of Boom.
Exactly. That's what he did. That's what made him famous.
So, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go and I'm going to pull a major 11th hour switcheroo here. I think he's an amazing player. This player that I like here, and I'm just trying to see if I can find. I'm debating between, do I go with the jumbo awesome future Hall of Fame offensive guard and Tyler Booker, who I think's a culture changing guard if you can get him. But he's not necessarily a perfect fit for the Niners system because the Niners like kind of movement players. But I mean, Aaron Banks wasn't necessarily a movement guard. This guy that Tyler Booker's got a better 40 time than Dom Pooney. I've heard, and I understand he's a power-based player, but I mean, this is, to me, like Baldy did a video saying, man, this is one of the safest, best players in the draft. And I agree. I think Tyler Booker's one of the safest, greatest players in the draft. But my whole plan in this thing was to trade back. So I'm not really looking for players that are going to be there necessarily at 11. I'm looking for just any player that I really like in the first round. And I'll tell you where I'm going here is the more, so you get into who was good, right? At the beginning of the year. Then you get into the workouts, who worked out the best, who looked the best, this and that. The one guy that is just, the more I research I do, the more people I listen to, and the more I go back over the tape myself, this is a great, great player, and it's Malachi Starks. I'm taking Malachi Starks, and I'm taking him in the first round, and I'm moving back from 11.
Wait.
Starks.
Wow. So I was just about to say that I honestly think as the Niners look at all of their needs, free safety is probably the one that gets dropped off first on the way to the draft. I bet you they don't even draft a safety. And you're going possible. You're going round 1. Wow. Okay. All right. See, this is a fun exercise.
I'm looking at a guy who's just so much the best player. And to me, he's just really, really special. Let me share the screen real quick on this one. Let me stop sharing the screen on this, and let me share the screen on this. And we can show you.
By the way, you want to talk about sending all of Ninerdom into a panicked frenzy? Let the 49ers draft a safety with their first pick.
Here's Todd McShay. Here's Todd McShay on Malachi Starks.
I just love his tape. Malachi Starks' combine workout has to be concerning. I get it. Only 4 safeties ran slower than his 4.50. Ran the slowest 3-cone, 7.26 of all the safeties.
That's way more concerning than the 40 time.
Ran the slowest short shuttle, 4.45 of all the safeties. So now it's like lower body explosiveness, speed, lateral agility, body, just didn't test well. Okay. But the way he moves and his play speed's better than that 40. He covers ground quickly. everything's smooth and easy and fluid. His transitions, competitive at the catch point, 6 interceptions, 22 breakups. This is truly like case study. Let's look back in 2-3 years. Tape versus the measurables.
Yeah, trust the tape, man. Always trust the tape.
I just love his tape. I just love his
So there
tape.
you go. I mean,
doesn't that fly in the face of everything you said a first rounder has to be? It's the tape and the measurables and all that stuff. I mean, that feels like even in our theoretical, just having fun with it, working backwards draft. That feels like a wow. I'm surprised. First round pick on that guy. Okay.
here we go. Here's Kirby Smart on his player.
And when Champ was a freshman wearing 42, people don't remember it. He would play middle field safety, and he had range that was unheard of. I mean, he could go from sideline to sideline, and he made some diving plays and extended his body. And Malachi is very similar to that in terms of his ability to play man-to-man, his ability to play safety. He could go out and play corner if he had to. He's just a tremendous athlete. But with all that accolades, he's one of the most humble, great kids I've ever been around. But I saw Champ before the game, and I told him that Malachi has a lot of the same traits.
All right.
There you go.
So
A lot of the same traits as Champ Bailey. Yeah, I love this player. I just think, I watched all the college games. I watched Georgia all year, and it's like I'm sitting there, I'm listening to people tell me about this guy and that guy, and I'm like, wait a second. I watched all these games. I know who their best player is. It's Malachi Starks and Jalen Walker. Those are the guys that are best players on that team. Those guys made huge play after huge play after huge play. So,
all right.
So
our final pick on the defensive side of the football, cornerback. Again, this is another very important position of need. I am going to use the compensatory pick of the 4th round, pick number 138. And I was surprised that based on Draft Tech, he was in that range. He is right here. I thought he would grade out higher than that. Give me a hellacious amount of production. Give me a 3-time all-conference corner. Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. When I make this pick, they're going to be screaming, could be the best pick of value. This is one of those, they cut away to Kuiper, Mel on the set, and he looks in the camera and he's like, this might be the best pick in this draft. You want to talk day of draft value right here, right now. The guy has got an unbelievable collegiate resume. He really does. He's got size.
Super cocky.
I like
what
that.
What number are you taking him? What round?
I'm taking him at 138, the compensatory pick of the 4th round, Larry.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's him and Mello Dotson played together, right? Dotson's the big tall guy. Bryant's the shorter guy, but he's super, super thin, and he's just cocky. He's just, to me, his swagger is off the charts. So I love him. I love Kobe Bryant. He's the only downside. I mean, it's funny because, this is Draft Tech has him at 144. If you go to the Dane Brugler mock, he's got him in the 6th round, which is a little bit surprising. So, but I love him. I absolutely love him. That's a great one. So you're going Kobe Bryant at pick 138. All right. I'm going in round 5. I'm going at corner. The Niners' new emphasis in the last 2 or 3 years has been about let's get picks, let's get interceptions, let's turn it over, right? They used to have Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart at safety, and then they're like, you know what, screw that. Let's get some guys who intercept the ball. So they signed Tayshaun Gibson, who's a high percentage interceptor. They drafted Talanoa Hufanga, now Malik Mustafa. I mean, they're looking to pick off some passes. The best at this, and to me, a guy who is one of my favorite players in the draft, is Nol Williams from Cal. He's so violent. Now, Draft Tech says he's going 93 overall. I don't think he's going 93 overall. I probably have him more in the 4th round. But I'm going Nol Williams from California just because he hits like a truck and he intercepts the ball. And that's John Lynch's kind of a DB. John Lynch wants corners and safeties who hit hard and take away the football. And Nol Williams will rally up against the run like everything in the world depends on it. He's 6 feet, 200 pounds. He's got good size, but he plays the position with just a rare violence and physicality. And he's got sticky fingers. I mean, he really does get his hands on a lot of footballs. I mean, it's amazing. And it's not, guys who do this tend to continue to do this. And sure enough, he went to the All-Star game, got his hands on a couple full footballs in the All-Star game. So I'm going Nol Williams out of California, probably in the mid rounds. I'll say, I don't have a number here, but I'm saying round 4.
He almost hit my draft too, Larry, but I didn't want to double dip at Cal. I thought that was a little like, nah, you can't take 2 Cal players. I'm already taking 2 Texas Longhorns. I can't go double dipping at Cal, but I like him an awful lot too. And if the Niners walk away with him on draft day for real, not just our exercise here, that'd be a really good pick. Can he exist in the slot? That's the question, right?
No, but you don't need him to, because I mean, you have literally the best slot corner. I would say it's going to take a very, very special player to move Leonard off the slot, because he's just so good at it. But, think about it. The slot corner in the NFL has got to play the run, and Leonard is just so good against the run. But I would think Nol Williams would be a very good slot corner, because he is, I think, the most physical outside of Jedi Barron. I think he's probably the most physical corner in the draft. So I think he probably could play the slot, but I think for the Niners, they would start him opposite Renardo.
By the way, did you hear the little bit of news today? Michigan's having its pro day, and Johnson is not running at pro day. If you're a corner and you're not running at a pro day, it's a little weird.
Well, I mean, okay, let's talk about that for just a second. It's not just that he didn't run at the pro day. It's that he was hurt this year and he didn't play very much. So, now we're really, putting a lot, you're expecting teams to invest maybe a top 10 pick in a player that barely has played, and then, didn't do the full workout. I mean, didn't run at the combine, didn't run at pro day. And it's like, I don't know about you, but ever since Trey Lance, I no longer trust that miles per hour stuff, because Trey Lance runs 22 miles per hour, this and that. Yeah, but he never ran a 40. Oh, yeah, that's okay. He runs 22 miles per hour. I don't care if he runs 122 miles per hour. I want to see a 40.
Well, I'm taking the guy who runs 122. I really am.
All right, let's jump ship from defense to offense.
Now we're going to sell some tickets. Now here's what people are really here for, right? Everybody loves the promise of the new offensive toy. And kids, Uncle Damon is filling your Christmas draft day stocking, because, I mean, we've been talking draft for over a month now. I haven't talked exciting running back early investment not once, but this was one of those. I sort of filled this backwards, Larry. And as I was getting to this, I was like, oh my gosh, he's still there right when I'm allowed to take him under the directions of this exercise that we're doing. And with the 75th pick, the first pick of the 3rd round, I am taking running back Cameron Scatterboom.
Oh,
this guy carried Arizona State. He was their best player in every game. He was one of the few guys that every single defensive coordinator in America circled 10 times before they even talked about another player. All eyes were on stopping him. Nobody could. Massive production, touches the ball every single play of the game. And for a team that doesn't have much of a wide receiver, they need another running back who can catch it out of the backfield. He's a little Christian McCaffrey-esque, if you don't mind me saying. We saw the success with McCaffrey. I think this is a great backup plan. Sorry, Isaac Garendo. I am taking Scatterboom. Pick number 75, first pick of the 3rd round, Larry.
People will buy his jersey.
That's an exciting pick, and it's an exciting player. There you go.
it's a media pick. I mean, like, the media people are going to love it, right? Because he's got a rep and everything.
Yeah.
And as far as the draft tech, we're gonna ease the numbers here. He's listed at 49, which means probably round 2 in their mind, but I don't think that's right. I think they're wrong. I think your neighborhood is far. I would bet anything that Cam Scatterbo goes closer to your 75 than he does to draft tech's 49. But I will go. I'll go for a guy down the list. And I'm thinking this guy's more like round 4 or 5. I'm going to say round 5 just because it's running backs and they all get pushed down. There's so many of them. I'm going to say there's going to be some really good running backs in the 5th round. And the guy that I love, absolutely love, the more I watch him, is R.J. Harvey from Central Florida. And I love Kyle Monangi quite a bit. Damian Martinez, Jaden Blue, Brashard Smith, Trevor Etienne. There's all kinds of really good backs. Taj Brooks, a bunch. But this guy, R.J. Harvey, he was a quarterback in high school. No team this year held him under 4.7 a carry. He's a great cutback running back. So in a lot of ways, he's perfect for the outside zone.
System. He's
a workhorse. This guy had 25 total touchdowns. He had a 20-yard run or 20-plus yard run in 9 of 12 games. So he's just very explosive. He's got 4.4 flat speed, 5'8", but 210 pounds on a 5'8 frame. And he's just really, really explosive.
What pick are you using on him?
I'm going to use, they listed him here as pick number 116. I'm going to say he's there in round 5.
Okay.
I think he's there probably in round 5. It might be round 4, but somewhere in there, either 4 or 5. But R.J. Harvey is my running back pick for sure. All right. So now we move to wide receiver. And I think this is a really interesting spot. Why? Because like the Niners want to contend, and I don't know that they can contend. In fact, I'm pretty sure they can't contend if it's Jacob Cowing, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings. I think they need a receiver of significance. Now, I'm not saying they got to have, Garrett Wilson in a trade or anything. I'm just saying they can't just get just like some, Alec Ayamanor from Stanford, and he's super raw, and he's just gonna play special teams and block. And no, you need somebody who I think can contribute significantly. So I think this is a very important pick at wide receiver.
So you're gonna hate my draft then, because I'll even admit that knowing it's a need, I didn't really address it in this draft. I really did not address it. I've got a nice little undrafted wide receiver that I'm going to run past you when we're all done. Okay. But for the sake of this experiment, I didn't get to wide receiver until I got to the first pick of the 7th round.
Here's the thing about this. This is like governing. You have to prioritize. And when you're doing this for real, you can't just take everybody in the 1st or 2nd round. You got to, sometimes one of those needs is going to have to be filled, in a day 3 situation.
I gotta get lucky here. I need my George Kittle walked out of the cornfield late in the draft, and he really worked out well. I'm going with Illini wide receiver Pat Bryant. He's 6'2". He was all Big Ten, team captain, multiple catch performance in each of his games. He's again, we ain't great in the 7th round. He's good. He's got the requisite size. In terms of the speed that they're looking for, I don't know if he really fits that. But again, I had to make the tough choice to go in other directions to beef up my team. And I just really hope that, Tariq Owens can make this problem go away. So, Larry, I admit it. This is the thread in the sweater of this draft that you can tug on and blow some holes in. I absolutely left this team a little high and dry in its wide receiver room in this draft. But hey, you're all big boys. go play football.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
It's not a great pick, Larry. It's not a great pick.
Well, I mean, I like the
losing
player. I like that player. I like
morning.
that player. He's a good player. It's just a matter of, do they fill their needs and what are their needs? I mean, they have Pearsall, Cowing, JJ. They have Isaiah Hodgins. They brought in DeMarcus Robinson. So they could use somebody with some vertical, some speed. I was telling you the other day about Giles Jackson, the undrafted slot receiver from UW. That would be nice. But I'm gonna go with a guy that I just think is just too perfect for the 49ers, and that's Savion Williams. Savion Williams. The Niners, just lost Debo. They gotta have a
second round pick for you. This is a second round pick.
No, Savion Williams is going to be a third round draft.
Okay.
My second round pick is Olufemi Oladejo.
Sorry.
So I'm making him the third round pick. Savion Williams, and I think there's a chance he even maybe goes a little bit later. But Savion Williams, 6'5", 225, high school quarterback, Wildcat quarterback for TCU. A lot of direct snaps. Should help the Niners on the goal line a little bit. Doesn't not a great route runner. I'll freely admit that, but he's got great ball skills, and he's just really, the game is really important to him. He makes some amazing plays. He's very, very physical. He's 6'4", 225, and I think can do a lot of the stuff around the line of scrimmage that Debo could do, maybe even do it potentially a little bit better in some ways. So love Savion Williams from TCU, and I'm taking him early in this thing, round 3.
You get a lot of sizzle there in the third round. That's an exciting player. So I like it. I like it an awful lot. Where are we going?
We're going next to tight end.
Tight end. All right. So again, this is one of those, because of the thought exercise that this whole experiment was, it made me prioritize tight end a little bit more. It also made me think, this is a guy who's going to help on the offensive line a little bit as well, because he's got the body to do it. I spent my first pick of the third round on a running back. I'm actually going to take, with pick 100, the special compensatory pick of the third round, and I'm going with Oregon tight end Terrence Ferguson. He's the most productive tight end in Oregon Ducks history. He made the longest play of any tight end in the Big Ten last season. You also said that you kind of wanted a pick here that made no sense at all. This, to me, was one of those, do you really need to spend this draft capital here on this player? You better love this player. I don't know why I talked myself into really liking this player, but I did. So he was there, and I took him. I like him, Larry. And he's been a tight end that no one's really talked that much about. He's pretty damn good, man.
Well, I mean, it's just a great tight end here. I mean, there's just a lot of guys. He tested the best. He had the best 40 of any tight end at the combine. He's a ginger. He's a big, tall kid. You get the feeling that he's kind of a self-made player. He doesn't come across as like a super blue chip player, but yeah, there's a lot to like there. There's a lot to like. Okay, so one of the rules of our mock was that somebody had to come via a trade. So I'm using one of my fourth round picks to trade it to the Raiders for Michael Mayer, and I'm putting Michael Mayer as my trade candidate, and he'll be he'll be my tight end. I really believe in Mayer. The Raiders, I really do believe, are going to move Mayer. And more than anything, I really like Michael Mayer. I mean, I really like the tight end draft, too. I could have gone with any number of guys. Mitchell Evans, Jalen Conyers. There's all kinds of guys. My buddy's son, Dom Mazzotti, I think is going to be a decent player as an undrafted guy. Anthony Torres, Rivaldo Fairweather. There's all kinds of guys who I think potentially.
But this guy's already proven it. I like it.
What's that?
He's already proven it. I like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, more than anything, I mean, I think the 49ers want to compete. I mean, I know that they don't just want to build. I think they, because you still got Trent, you still got Kittle, you still got Bosa, you still got Warner. These guys are in the twilight of borderline Hall of Fame type careers in some cases, Hall of Fame in the case of Trent Williams for sure. And so the Niners are not in this. We're tucking our tail and packing it away and check back in 2027. I just don't buy it. And I think if you're going to be in that kind of mode where, yeah, you're tearing it down a little bit, but you really expect to players that are ready to go. You know what I mean? And here's Michael Mayer. It's year 3. Whatever he's going to start to be as a tight end, it's going to happen right here. And I like him as a receive. Some guys receive, some guys block. And Kittle's the only guy that can really do both. Now you got another guy who can do both. You got a guy in Mayer. He's your number 2 tight end. And
I like the pick. I like that's my guy. So in typical Damon Bruce fashion, I completed the assignment before I read all of the instructions. So I don't have a trade for a player coming in here. But I do
We're
have
not done yet. We're not
what
done
could
yet.
be a draft day trade that involves a tight end. And we'll get to him a little bit later on.
All right, so now we're at offensive tackle. And some people would say, now we're not doing this in order. We're just doing this in whatever order we wrote it down on the page. So it's not like there's any order to this. So we're now at offensive tackle, and the Niners are stated they want a swing tackle, but they also need the replacement for Trent Williams. You could make an argument that maybe their best game plan at left guard is to go get a right tackle and move McKivitz to left guard. I mean, there's lots of different ways they could play their hand of cards here. Who do you have as your tackle?
Larry, this is where I'm using the bell of the ball. I'm using my first round pick here. This is where I'm going round 1, and it's the only element of consistency that I've had as a through line through all of the pre-draft shows that we've done together. I liked Armand Membu before you did. I don't mean you. I mean the world, the internet. Then he comes out and he runs a combine time that has everyone talking about him like he's off the board now. Maybe it's 6. He's not going to make it past the Jets or whatever. It's going to be hard to see him at 11. If he is there at 11, I'm running that pick to the podium. If he's not there, I am totally cool with Campbell. Between the two of them, I'm taking Membu over Campbell, but I am taking tomorrow's tackle and playing him at guard today. I like that pick. I think it's important. I think the 49ers need to stop trying to moneyball around their offensive line. And this is a true investment in what I think is, maybe the most important unit on the field. Seriously, like bad head coaches, average head coaches look like better coaches with a really good offensive line. Imagine if Kyle Shanahan actually had one of those. How good could he look behind that? So I'm going with Membu. This is where I'm spending my first rounder, and I feel great about it.
You should, because I think he's a really, really clean prospect. Now, the only question is, he's played his whole career at right tackle. What happens? Can you play him at left tackle? Does it even matter? I mean, does it even matter? Sometimes, now you see pass rushers jump sides. Maybe you just put him at right tackle.
Well, here's the thing. I think he could be a left guard today, my right tackle, or maybe even, that's the thing. Left tackle's a whole other ball of wax, right? I mean, right tackle is something that he has done. So if for whatever reason McKivitz were to be a move inside candidate, this guy moves outside to right tackle. I like his versatility as much as I like his promise of filling a need in the future. He fills a need today and a need in the future.
It's a good one. It's a good one. As far as the offensive tackles go, it's to me, it's like you got two choices. You can either use your first pick on a tackle, or I love Anthony Belton. He's probably going to be there in the 3rd round, but he's probably not really a Niner type player. I'm going to go.
What round are you taking your tackle in?
Day 3.
Okay.
Late day 3.
Okay.
I'm going to go Carson Vinson from Alabama A&M, from one of the HBCU schools. He's 6'7". He's 314 pounds. He needs to get a little stronger, he needs to definitely get stronger at the point of attack. I don't know that I'm getting a starter, right away starter at offensive line in this draft. I think, he can compete with Ben Barch for guard snaps, but I think he's more of a developmental tackle who might be able to play right tackle. If he really had a great camp, maybe he could move McKivitz to left guard. But I love Carson Vinson, 6'7", 314, and he will fight you. And I love that attitude. At the end of the day, it's a hand fight. Now, there's other guys here. There's Miles Hinton. There's Caleb Rogers. There's a guy named Jalen Travis from Iowa State who's 6'8", 340. There's Caleb Etienne. There's Essa
there for Brock Purdy, little Cyclone brother.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of, you got to think outside the box for sure. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go Carson Vinson. A little bit more upside. The other guy that I really love is I love the LSU kid, Jones. I love Emory Jones Jr. I think he's got a basketball build and he plays right tackle. A lot of people think he's not going to play tackle. He's going to play guard in the NFL. I love Emory Jones, but I'm going to go I think he'll be off the board too early. So I'm going to go Carson Vinson. All right, let's go interior offensive line. Who are you going with in your interior offensive lineman?
So this is where I'm actually using my final pick of the draft, 252. Willie Lampkin.
We still have a wild card. We have to take a wild card here. We have one wild card coming up. The last pick is the wild card pick of just anything. The pick that doesn't make sense. That's all right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Who's your interior offensive lineman?
I'm going with Willie Lampkin, center, North Carolina. Okay. I mean, he's a guard. He's a center. He's kind of undefined. I've seen him listed two different positions, but I need a guy who has got an awful lot of college snaps on his body, Larry. This guy's played a ton of college football, and he's played it really, really well at every level he's been at. I'm taking Willie Lampkin. He's a little short. What is he like? He's like 5'10".
He's a lot short. Yeah, he's a lot short.
He's not a big guy. He plays big, Larry. I'm going to give you he plays big. Again, this was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm losing steam in this exercise at this point.
Yeah, you know what? I'm also going Willie Lampkin. I mean, I could go with a couple other guys for sure. I really do like Garrett Dellinger from LSU. Really kind of like Marcus Ware from Montana State. Jackson Slater, my Sac State brother. I'm a big fan of his. But I'm going Willie Lampkin. Willie Lampkin for all those same reasons that you said. He's got the arm length of a 6'5" man. To me, this is a culture-changing player. It's like the Niners have a problem. They cannot run inside the 5. And Willie Lampkin is the solution. I don't know if he's the solution at fullback. I don't know if he's the solution at guard. I don't know if he's the solution at center. I don't know if he's the solution at running back. I don't know what he is, but he's part of the solution because he's leverage. I called DJ Jones leverage McLeverage. This is leverage McLeverage's daddy. All right. This is the ultimate. This is leverage McLeverage. Nobody's got better leverage than Willie Lampkin.
Smaller body. He gets from the back of that snap back to his hands up here faster than anybody. He's got less distance to cover. Maybe this is the ultimate leverage position.
He is very, 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 very special for sure. All right.
So how come I got him in the 7th round, and why is he probably going to go undrafted? Just because he's 5'10"?
He's 5'10", and in the history of the NFL. And I don't think he is going undrafted, by the way. I think he's probably going to go in the 6th round. But, yeah, you're a 5'10" offensive lineman. I mean, look at it this way. The only way you're going to draft this guy is if you fall in love and you have a plan. And to have a plan, you have to think outside the box. So, I personally, Damon, I don't know that he's a guard. I think he probably is only a center or a fullback, but I'm okay with that.
By the way, so I took Willie Lampkin here over Jackson Slater out of Sac State, Larry.
I love Jackson Slater. Great dude. And I think he's going to be a really good – I think Jackson Slater's got a better chance to be a long-time starter on the offensive line. But as I said, Willie Lampkin for the 49ers is a culture changing player. Okay. This is like no more finesse 49ers on the goal line, passing on 2nd and goal from the 4. It's time to buckle up this chin strap and get some guys who can road grade and power it in. You know, that the one thing I can say definitively, all this talk about the Niners, if they don't run the ball more effectively inside the 5 or in short yardage, doesn't matter. They have no shot. They have no shot of winning anything, because look at the teams in the league right now. You got Baltimore, you got Kansas City, you got Philadelphia, you got Detroit. All these teams have stellar offensive lines and can run the ball effectively inside the 5. So what, you're going to somehow beat all these teams in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl while they can run at will inside the 5 and you can't run at all? I mean, come on, that little trend has to reverse itself, or the Niners have no shot. So I say Willie Lampkin. He might be one of the last players picked, but I think he's one of the most important players. All right, wild card factor. The one rule we had here was you got to pick one player that makes no sense at all. No sense at all. Who is your, you know what? I love the player, but he makes no sense at all.
Okay, so I kind of interpreted it a little bit differently. For the wild card pick, I was like, what are the Niners not going to do? What probably shouldn't they do? They shouldn't move up in this draft. If anything, this draft is begging the Niners to move back a couple of times, several times in this draft. Go ahead and move back. To me, the wild card pick is trying to move up in this draft and seeing if you can't kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What if I told you the Niners were going to take a little bit of this year's draft capital, maybe a little bit of next year's, try to trade up into the top 5 for Travis Hunter, because they need a corner and they need a wide receiver. He both.
I would love it. I mean, I think Travis Hunter is a dynamic player on the perimeter. No question about it. That would be an amazing get. I mean, but Travis Hunter, you could argue, is exactly what the Niners need. They need a true number 1 corner, and they need a receiver who doesn't need to be the chain mover or in any way the key guy. He just needs to be a big play threat.
And that's what he is. But here's the thing. He's also pretty damn good at moving chains, Larry. It's not like he's just a run fast that way, throw you ball deep. He's more than that. He's a really good player, man. Now he's a corner. He's a corner more than a wide receiver. But again, I'm going to be able to get 100 wide receiver snaps out of him this season while he plays full time on defense. We'll figure it out. Give the Hunter package, the Hunter's Lodge package is what they can call it. So there you go. That's the way I interpreted wild card. I think a little bit differently than you were trying to frame the question. How have you got it?
So you have, who's your wild card again?
Again, I'm trading up for Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. Okay, but if you had to do like, okay, well that's fine. That's fine. We're not grading these things that harshly or anything. It's like that would be a wild card. That would be a wild card. Nobody would expect them to do that, and that would be a fantastic play. All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I want to show you this video. My guy is Riley Leonard in this draft, and I was watching the Gruden quarterback school with Riley Leonard.
I did see Riley Leonard's Gruden thing.
Listen to the way he sums up. Listen how he sums up Riley Leonard at the end here. Oh, hold on a second.
Push a button.
Hold on.
Uh-oh. See, this is what happens when you turn hosts into producers.
There we go. Okay, here we go. This is the very end of the Gruden's quarterback class with Riley. I love me some Riley Leonard, man. I'm a believer. I watched this kid this year. Damon, this guy is a winner. He's just a winner. And it's funny, Greg Cosell, I used to, Greg and I would have these conversations, and occasionally this conversation would come up, and I'd be like, yeah, blankety blank, this guy's a winner. And be like, what? Be like, what is a winner? And I mean, he can't be defined. And I totally understand what he means, because he's talking about, he does this and he does that. And winner is kind of a nebulous, title. But a winner is just somebody who wins. This guy went to Duke. Duke is not a football power. He turned them into a winner. This guy went to Notre Dame. They went to the national championship game, despite the fact their star running back missed almost all the playoffs, and some of their key defensive players never played in the playoffs. Riley Leonard is athletic. He's smart. You should have seen this, or you did see it. For those who didn't see this, Gruden gave him all kinds of little play calling rules. Okay, we're going to do this. If it's going to be a left, it's going to be a girl's name. If it's going to be a right, it's going to be a boy's name. This is going to be our kill. This is going to be our signal. This is going to be this. This is going to be that. And he's writing it down. Then he made him get on the field and call these plays and and he's just doing it. And he just found out about it. And it's that kind of mental horsepower with the absolutely, this guy loves to play. It's so freaking important to Riley Leonard. And I just think that, I don't know that Brock Purdy's going to love Riley Leonard. I don't know that Mac Jones is going to love Riley Leonard. But guess what? If Riley Leonard shows up, I think the Niners are going to get more out of their quarterback room. Why? Because he's not going to be satisfied sitting on the sideline. He's absolutely going to know his playbook like the back of his hand. He's going to keep the pressure on Brock Purdy and on Mac Jones to be good. Because if not, this kid is ready to go. He's mobile. He's got enough arm. He's a leader. He's a winner. I watched that thing with Gruden. I was like, you know what? This is the guy. Back to this guy. I love Riley Leonard. I probably would use my last pick on day 3 or day 2, or my first pick on day 3. He's either a 3rd or a 4th round investment in my mind. And that would be huge for the 49ers, especially in a year where they're signing Brock Purdy and they have Mac Jones and they have Tanner Mordecai, to then use a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick on Riley Leonard. There'll be a lot of content creators going, WTF, Shanahan, what the hell? But they won't be saying that once they see this kid roll out and start to play.
You like him a lot more than I do. I really do. You called it a wild card. If you're telling me they can pick up Riley Leonard, 6th, 7th round, sure. Value, 4th rounder. Wow, that's really a big reach for a team that's about to give $50 million a year to a quarterback. But I hear you. I like him, and I wish he would have thrown the ball a little bit more in big moments at Notre Dame. I thought that they had to go away from him in some big moments in big games, but
they ran it a ton at the beginning of the Indiana game, or not the Indiana game, but the Ohio State game. Yeah, they ran it a ton in the first half.
I'll give you this. The reason why he would be a good fit is because you don't get to Chapel Hill and you don't get to South Bend by being a dummy. And no dummy's ever going to be successful in Kyle Shanahan's system. I mean, there's really no successful dummies at the position anywhere. Like, whoever you think is the dumbest quarterback in football, he's at least really smart at being a quarterback if he's in the NFL. There's no idiots up here. But
there's also one other factor that I really saw a marriage between the Niners and Riley Leonard. There was a moment in this thing where Riley Leonard turns to Gruden and said, hey, man, I want you to really tear into me. I need to get better. I want you to really rip me up. He's like, so you like hard coaching? He's like, absolutely. I had David Cutcliffe. I had this guy. This guy. Good. I want to be coach tough. Well, guess what? Kyle Shanahan coaches his quarterbacks very harshly. He's harsh to Brock Purdy. He's harsh to Trey Lance. He's been harsh to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's looking for perfection. And he's trying to coach perfection. And then anything that, if you fall short, you fall short. But that's his approach. And he doesn't want some wallflower or some guy who's going to be, curl up into a fetal position because he tells them, you're fucking wrong here. And maybe says it that way. It's like, this is a kid who is absolutely going to love it. He's going to eat it up. He's going to demand that Kyle Shanahan coaches him hard. It's going to make the entire quarterback room better. And not that Brock can't handle it. Brock absolutely can. But this is a guy who's very similar. So anyway, that's my wild card. I see magic in Riley Leonard. I could be totally wrong. You're totally right as far as, there was a good portion of the year where almost every person I talked to was like, yeah, the Notre Dame guy, oh, yeah, he can run, but he's got a rag arm. But then so I just kind of put a line through him like, well, you know what? Maybe I just like him, but he just doesn't have enough arm to play in the NFL. But then I saw him at the combine and I'm like, dude, this guy's got plenty of arm. And Gruden makes the point is that his footwork is really messed up right now. It's like sometimes it looks like a 3-step drop. Sometimes it looks like a 5-step drop. His footwork is a little murky and needs to be cleaned up. And when his footwork, Damon, is clean, he's got plenty of arm. But when his footwork is kind of in between and murky and not really crisp, his arm strength looks a little lacking. So I think that's a big mechanical thing. And I think they could correct that pretty easily. So there you go. There's our.
We have one more exercise here, right? You needed an undrafted player.
Well, right. What we're going to do here is you need one undrafted player. Mine could have been Willie Lampkin. Yours could have been Willie Lampkin. He may go undrafted, but go ahead. Give us an undrafted player that you are bringing aboard.
So I actually think this player does get drafted, but in order to be considered undrafted in our exercise,
257, yeah,
257 or lower. Right. I'm at 270. I'm at 270, and I'm taking Nick Nash. Nick Nash, the wide receiver from San Jose State. Again, you had some good reviews about him on his pro day, and here's the deal, man. As a physical specimen, there's a lot to be left to hope there was more. You'd like to see more there. And I'm going to also tell you, working against him big time is he's 26 years old already. He's 26 years old. But how much more value can you get out of an undrafted free agent than first team unanimous All-American? That's what he was. He was the NCAA receiving Triple Crown winner this year. 104 catches, 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns when the regular season ended. Guys who went and played playoff football, I think, eclipsed him at the very end. But when the regular season came to an end, he was the Triple Crown leader. He's a unanimous All-American. He's not big. He's not fast. He's not sexy. But he just catches footballs. It's like the Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns. All this guy does is catch footballs. I think the 49ers could make a lot worse decisions than to give this guy a call to come to camp as an undrafted free agent.
It's a great call. It's a great call. This is tough because there's so many guys here.
Right. If you think it's tough to pick who's getting drafted, try to do who's undrafted.
Well, I mean, and we have a list, so it's not that hard to come up with the names, but like, give you an example, like what direction do you want to go in your undrafted player? So to me, I want to go in one of two directions. I either want to go in my position of need, which is defensive line. Like I have a huge position of need along the defensive line, or I want to go where I think the draft is deepest, which would be running back. So if I was going running back, man, there's Montrell Johnson. There's the UC Davis kid, Lan Larison. Have you heard of Lan Larison?
No.
Oh, you got to check him out.
I've seen the name. I did not say, ooh, here's a player I need to know more about.
Yeah, I mean, go check out Lan Larison. But I'm going to go with another guy that I had on the show the other day, Shanderek Powell. One, it's a great name, and it's a mix of his parents' names. His mom was named one thing, so his full name is Shanderek Brayshawn Powell. He's the son of Derek and Glenda Powell. Anyway, I love this kid, and I absolutely loved him on the show. He's a great athlete. He was an honor roll student. He played running back in high school at Hoxie High School, and they made the state playoffs. He was the MVP. He was all state. He was all conference. I mean, the guy was really, really good. And winds up at Central Arkansas. And this guy has got a great personality. He's 5'9", 180. He started off at North Alabama. He's from Hoxie, Arkansas. He goes to North Alabama. He transfers to Central Arkansas. Damon, this guy's so explosive. This is one of the most explosive running backs I think I've seen this year. If you go watch this guy is a home run hitter. I asked him, I said, what'd you run for the stopwatch? He's like, man, I ran in the 4.4s, but I had a muscle pull. I said, well, what is your best 40? He's like, oh man, I can run in the 4.2s.
I'm sorry, what's his name again?
His name is Shanderek Powell. And he played on that purple candy cane surface at Central Arkansas, where 5 yards is purple, 5 yards is white, 5 yards is purple, 5 yards is white. You can't miss it. He wore 27. He's a small running back return man, but Damon, this guy is electric. I mean, this is the guy that you dump it to in the flat and he goes 99 yards. You know, I mean, this is the guy who can, be a major star return guy. I think they got to have a dynamic weapon or two, and this guy is super dynamic. And to be able to get him, as an undrafted guy would be unbelievable. And he's got a phenomenal personality. The Niners have met with him, so they obviously like him. Shanderek Powell, and
the reason why
I really is so amazing. I mean, if you watch, he averaged 111 all-purpose yards per game this last year. So he's just an amazing player.
I thought the reason why this draft exercise was so interesting is because it limited the choices that you were going to be able to make. It wasn't like see the whole board, put anyone where you want, sort of reimagining guys falling to you. It gave you parameters. This guy's not making it out of this round, so you can't take him in that round. And it was really interesting, and it felt more like an actual day of draft, mock draft exercise than a list of wishes and needs that you're putting together like a little kid trying to write, their Christmas gift list to Santa Claus. Here's what I want, Santa.
Well, and then we all know what we're doing. And when that's the thing too, it's not, I don't even blame the people. I blame the mocks. The mock drafts are kind of, they're all a little funky, right? Because you have certain guys in certain orders. And so then all of a sudden you're like, man, I think Eugene Asante is probably going to go in the 5th or 6th round. Okay. But they list him in the draft tech at like pick 406 or something. He's like worlds from getting drafted, and that's not true. So
it just shows you
it's all guesswork.
It just shows you that everyone's just trying to make their best educated guess, and what one man sees and really values. One man's treasure is another man's trash. And it's the same way with draft picks and prospects and the lens that these guys are seen through. Again, we watched Trent Baalke make a sequence of picks of damaged goods that left everybody scratching their heads. And sure enough, Trent thought he was reinventing the wheel. He wasn't. Not at all.
Let's get to a couple last things before we get out of here.
Yes.
We're going to do a little wager here. We're just going to go 5 names. You can go first. I'll go second. We're just going to go 5 names, and I'm going to write them down, and we're just going to try to place 5 random prospects with the 49ers, just based on nothing, just based on, vibes, or maybe reports of the Niners' interest, or maybe not. Maybe it's just you like that player and you think that player is going to be a Niner. If you had to take 5 players, we're going to take 5 players from any positions.
Already in the league.
No.
5 players on draft.
No. These are not players in the league. These are just 5 prospects.
Oh, I got this assignment wrong.
It could be any players. You could have 5 guys you just named, or it could be 5 guys that are rumored to be headed to the Niners. You could take Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Nol Williams. You could take, but we're gonna bet a beer on this. 5 players, any 5 players that you think are the 5 players most likely to come to the 49ers. And you don't have to like it. You can, because I'm going to pick a couple on here that I don't really like necessarily. I'm just going to, but I do think they could be coming to the Niners.
I start.
Well, I can start if you want.
You go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go. My first one. I'm gonna go with the Tony Pauline report that the Niners have interest in Oladejo. I really think Oladejo to the Niners. The way Tony Pauline made that report, he was like, the Niners really love Oladejo, and would plan to take him in round 2. And it was like very specific. And the last time he had that specific report, it was about Garendo. It was wrong. He said they would take him in the 3rd. He went in the 4th. But I think that for this exercise, all it does is link the player to the team. So I'm going to say Olufemi Oladejo is my first guy that I think is going to be a Niner.
I like it. I don't think it's out of bounds at all. There's a possibility that it could happen. I'm also preparing myself mentally for the Niners taking Kelvin Banks Jr. Again, Texas. I think that if Membu Campbell were gone and they were still thinking they're going to spend an early pick on an offensive lineman, I could see that Kelvin Banks. And here's the thing: it's kind of between. It would be Banks, or at this point, with both the guys I would think off the board, Tyler Booker out of Alabama. But do you want to draft guard first round or ask to draft tackle first round, kick him inside for a year? So tackle out of Texas.
Kelvin Banks. All right. My number 2 one, I'm going to say, and I don't love this one, but I was at the local pro day, and it just seems like this guy to the Niners is going to happen. Alec Ayamanor, the Stanford receiver. Lynch was talking to him. He handed him off to Leonard Hankerson, the wide receiver coach. I just think Ayamanor is probably coming to the Niners at some point.
All right. Our third name on this list.
No, this is your number 2. So I've got Olufemi Oladejo and you, Alec Ayamanor. You've got Banks. We're going to go 5 each, and we'll see how many we can get.
Niners are trading back in the first round. So now they're, 20s. They're in the 20s, early teens. This is where I wouldn't mind at all James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee. I just think he's got the body. He's got an awful lot of quality snaps against superior players, and he's done very, very well. Boy, Tennessee football, a little bit of a mess with their quarterback. And the school breaking up over the weekend. How about that? One of our first real big kind of NIL situations that really came to a head this weekend. But I'm going with James Banks Jr. James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Again, this is if the Niners are trading back in that first round. I'd love to see him end up wearing a 49er uniform. And I don't think he is if they stay where they are, but he's could be on the team if they trade back candidate.
I'm going to go with my number 3 guy. I'm going to go with the former Stanford tight end, Benjamin Urasek. He's at Georgia. He was really good at Stanford. I don't think he's going to be drafted, but maybe he will be. He's listed at 200 on this list, but some of the mocks I've seen him undrafted. I think he's either a late day 3 pick or maybe an undrafted guy, but I'll say Benjamin Urasek, formerly of Stanford, now at Georgia.
Okay. For my third name, and this is as I talked myself into Terrence Ferguson, the Oregon tight end, and I was looking through tight ends. A guy that I really like is Colston Loveland out of Michigan. Again, the Niners are going to need more early picks to pick him up too, but I do like Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan too. 6'5", 245, can play in space, line of scrimmage guy too. I mean, he's good. He's just a solid tight end. So Colston Loveland is another name that I would, again, he ends up wearing a Niner uniform. No problem with that.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let me see here. This is just a flyer, but wow, this is just a flyer. But they've shown some interest in this guy, so I'm going to go with him. Antoine Wells Jr., Ole Miss wide receiver. He's just, I don't know. I'm not even sure why. He's a decent sized wide receiver. He's going to be there probably midday 3. I think they're going to be looking for a receiver who's done it before. SEC has a little bit of Juwan Jennings to him. Just one of these guys that's a little tougher. He gets by with, some just decent skills because of toughness. So I'll go Antoine Wells Jr. for my 4th guy.
You really want to do an electric Kool-Aid acid test? You really want to have every single content creator go bonkers, Larry?
Yes,
Give me the best kicker available, a first-team All-American, Ryan Fitzgerald, Florida State. Even in the 7th round, people are going to be pulling their hair out if that happened. But hey, kicker is unresolved. No matter as much as they want it to be, it isn't. So there you go. Don't tell me they won't draft a kicker. I've seen them do it. Ryan Fitzgerald. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Oh, wow.
He's good, Larry.
Is it? Well, you said he's the top kicker.
He's the first team All-American, second team All-ACC. Lou Gross a finalist. But again, he's just a kicker. You never draft a fucking kicker.
Man, this is tough. Okay, I'm gonna take a shot, and these guys don't have to be drafted, by the way. These just have to be people that they can be signed. They just have to be 49ers. So I'm gonna go undrafted free agent. I'm gonna go with the guy that I thought was one of the kind of the stars of the local pro day. I'm gonna go with Giles Jackson, the slot receiver from the University of Washington. Thought he looked really good. I don't think he's gonna get drafted. He's from Antioch. They could probably use a little slot receiver. You know what? Giles Jackson.
So you drafted him in our exercise, and I love the pick because I'm telling you, you can get this guy 4th round, 5th round, but CJ West out of Indiana. Huh?
He's not even on the list. I mean, I'm looking at the list.
I'm giving you my final name here. I'm setting it up. I'm going with CJ West here as my final name. If CJ West is a San Francisco 49er, everyone is going to fall in love with this kid. He is a real football player that helped breathe life into a program that didn't have much real football attached to it. He was the reason why they were able to just play bully ball football up front with other better than them Big Ten teams in Cignetti's first year. This CJ West kid is a real deal, undersized defensive tackle who can play, man. So
he's got, what he's really got. I mean, I studied him a little bit yesterday because to me, I'm starting to think that, maybe not going defensive tackle in the first round with Nolan and Grant might be the better play. Maybe go with like an Omar Norman lot, maybe go with a CJ West in round 3. You got 2 picks there. I love both those guys, but CJ West, what really stands out when you watch him, he has ridiculously strong hands and he just throws guys around. You can see blockers come up to him. He throws them down. He's just very, very strong from the elbow to the fingertip, which is a great sign for a defensive tackle. So that's a good one. So Damon's 5 are Kelvin Banks, James Pierce, Colston Loveland, Ryan Fitzgerald, the kicker, and CJ West. My 5 are Olufemi Oladejo, Alec Ayamanor, Benjamin Urasek, Antoine Wells Jr., and Giles Jackson. All right, we're coming down the home stretch on this stream today.
I tell you what, can we park the players that you might trade for conversation until Friday? Because I do want to talk about something that there's.
Yeah, we don't have to do that.
I want to talk about something that happened, not something that might happen.
Okay.
Something that is actually you and I were maybe even there for on premises the day that it happened. The biggest draft bust in 49ers history. Larry, who is it? I mean, there are a handful of guys to choose from, but I don't know if anyone can find a better candidate than what you and I were there for the day that it happened. Sitting in that Niners war room. One name in an envelope. AJ
It was a late first round pick on a bad receiver. That to me is not nearly in the Trey Lance category because of what the price you paid. So I would have to say Trey Lance a bigger bust. But I wasn't even thinking of either one of those guys, really. I was thinking of Gio Carmazzi. I mean, Bill Walsh is like the most respected man in the history of the 49ers. He's one of the most respected quarterback whisperers the game's ever seen. He literally, in the draft that had Tom Brady, drafted Gio Carmazzi and then told everybody that Gio Carmazzi was the best quarterback in the draft with all this bravado, only, to be proven wrong, of course. So I would say Gio Carmazzi, and when you needed a quarterback, you took that guy in the 3rd round out of Hofstra.
Well, when you need a quarterback, you look Hofstra. I mean, that's historically the right way to go.
Just the worst throwing motion of all time, too. He had just a terrible, like almost like a push pass. It was just. I mean, it looked so bad. So I would say when I think Niner bus, I think Gio Carmazzi, I think Trey Lance, but the other guy I think of, and it's because he never even. I mean, A.J. Jenkins would be fantastic, but I was thinking a little bit older back before that. The Niners drafted Israel Ifiani out of USC, and he just was awful, absolutely awful. In the 90s.
Okay.
In the 90s, I forget. Maybe I'll look it up real quick. Israel Ifiani. Now, it wasn't a 1st-round draft choice, but he was their 1st-round pick that year, and he just was terrible. I mean, he never. And I'll tell you the other one that really I can remember it like it was yesterday. The Niners drafted a corner named Hardy. I think his name was Adrian Hardy. And I saw him in camp, and it was like, oh my God, this guy he's got long, gangly legs. He didn't look like he had any power at all. I'm like, oh, this is one of the worst looking players I've ever seen in person like this. And sure enough, the guy didn't make it. So they took this guy, Israel Ifiani, 6'3", 245-pound defensive end. They took him out of USC in the 96 draft in the 2nd round, 46th overall. He was with the Niners on 96. He was selected. He had a career-ending knee injury during training camp. And he just never made it.
Look, you might be right that it's Trey Lance. The only grace that I'm giving Lance is that his career is not over. We know it's begun as a bust, but we do not know. There's still very little reason to have hope, but hope does remain. But in terms of the penalty that you paid for the wrong pick, there is no greater sunken cost than Trey Lance in the history of the 49ers. Trey Lance's trade did as much to prevent you from winning a Super Bowl as the Kansas City Chiefs ever did. Right?
It hurt.
It really hurt. I can also, just because we have to invoke his name, never forget Jim Druckenmiller happened. That happened. He started 1 game. He was out of the NFL in 2 years. And let's not forget.
He only started 1 game.
I think so. Yeah.
It was against the Rams. I think it was like 15 to 12. I ever tell you when I went up to him for the very first time. So I'm supposed to do an interview with him for the pregame show. And I go up to him. I'm like, hey, Jim, how you doing, man? Larry Krueger, KMBR, I'd like to do an interview with you for the pregame this week. He's like, yeah, no problem, man, no problem. But he's like, yar, dude, where's my playbook? Walsh is up my ass if I don't have that thing. Oh, dude. I was like, and he was giving me the yard, dude, Walsh, and he sounded so young, right? And I was standing there next to Chris Townsend in the locker room. And he had this look, this guy sounded like, he sounded so immature. He sounded like he, rode in on a skateboard. And I looked at Townsend and I just started shaking my head. And Steve Young, whose locker is like right there, looks over and he just smiles and kind of laughed and kind of just went like this and started laughing. And it was like, he knew. It's like, come on, man. We went from Joe Montana to Steve Young to this guy. Yard, dude. Walsh is pissed. Oh my God. I was like, this is not going to be good. I remember sitting there talking to Townsend going, this guy is not the answer. I don't know why, but I got a bad vibe. Sure enough.
Can we shout out Rashawn Woods too? Let's not pretend that didn't happen, because he was awesome at Oklahoma State. And then he gets to the NFL and he can't play football.
JJ Stokes was supposed to be great. Now JJ had a career. Well, Rashawn Woods really didn't. But yeah.
He was out of the NFL for 1 season.
But Kentwan Balmer. That was another
Kentwan Balmer wasn't that good.
How about Reggie McGrew? I mean, the Niners have blown. How about Mike McGlinchey? You know, I mean,
Hey,
the Niners have
Lynch is still
blown
in the league, though, right? I mean, that guy, he's going to have a 12-year-long NFL career. That ain't a bust.
Yeah, but it was you're drafting a right tackle 9th overall, and you know he doesn't earn a second contract with the team. You move him on. So yeah, so there you go.
By the way, Jacob saying Steve Young in the background in awe. Yeah, just Steve Young in awe of stupidity. Just like, what?
Steve's like, that guy ain't never taking my job.
All right, let's wrap up with
last
this because we're gonna have another. It's going to be the last show I do, Larry, before Jillian and I head off to Japan. So it is going to be the Bon Voyage show
Friday
morning. We're going to do Wake Up, and when we get there on Friday morning, we'll have the week's news to react to, plus our list of possible draft day trades the 49ers could consider if these guys are really out on the market. The one kind of interesting thing that we got to squeeze in here again is that Derek Carr has a shoulder problem that could cost him the year. We'll know more about it this week because the Saints need to find out. The Saints pick in front of the 49ers, and if there's one thing we all know is as many quarterbacks could possibly go before 11, the better the Niners are sitting.
Well, that's an interesting thing, too. So I talked to a buddy of mine who is a scout for an AFC team, all right? And I said to him, hey, man, draft's coming up. I go, give me something that you know that the public doesn't know that, that you can share with me that, may make me look sharp for my audience. And he's like, oh, I'll give you one. He goes, I think there's a better than 50-50 chance that Jalen Milroe gets drafted in the first round. And I said, what? Really? So he goes, yeah, I think it's going to go Cam Ward and then Shador, Dart, and Milroe all going in round 1. He thinks there's going to be 4 quarterbacks drafted in round 1. So I thought that was interesting. Now, I thought Milroe looked terrible at the Senior Bowl. That's a major turnaround for him to turn it around that fast. But what can you say? I mean, that's an interesting one. Milroe did run in the 4.3s. Some people, he said, see him as an incredible athlete who just needs to be coached up. He's had some highlight reel plays. There's no doubt. He won the Iron Bowl a couple years ago, so on a really nice last-second pass. So, we'll see. We'll see. You just named the Saints, the Raiders. There's a few other teams, New York Giants. There's going to be some teams that are after the quarterback.
With unbecoming stories being attached to Tyreek Hill. Not that the 49ers are interested in the person that Tyreek Hill is, but the production that he might have left. We'll talk about that on Friday, okay?
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? All right, last question here. You walk into an elevator in an office building in somewhere in the Bay Area, and it just so happens the door's closing, but then it opens, and John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan get on, and you've got a 40-floor,
we can do an elevator pitch. We have time for an elevator pitch.
You got time for an elevator conversation. You got Lynch and Shanahan, or Lynch or Shanahan right there. You can ask them one thing or make one comment before the draft. What would you want to say to Lynch or Shanahan if you could right now?
You want to go first?
Oh, no, go ahead if you want.
Okay. I would say, look, you clearly know more about this than I do. There's no doubt about that.
They're laughing right now.
Yeah. Through the prism of 50 years of me watching football, well, let's call it 45. We won't count those years 1 through 5 of me watching football. And just through the prism of this last Super Bowl, how you have lost Super Bowls, the direction that the league is going in, and especially with the contract you're about to give Brock, if quarterback really is the most important position on the field, I would say that protecting him has to be the second biggest priority on the field. I don't think you're going to find much victory remaining for offensive teams that are trying to cobble together offensive lines in this league. I would just say I've watched average coaches go far behind outstanding offensive lines. How far could an outstanding coach go with an outstanding offensive line? Just think of that, Kyle, as you get ready to go to the NFL draft.
That's good. I'd go with, let's just say it's Lynch. Hey, John, good to see you. Good luck in the draft. I'm not going to give you advice because I've done this job and I know what it means to really know as opposed to media know. So I really know that I don't know right now. But I will say this. There's two things I would want to say to him. One would be, John, you need culture changers on your offensive line. You can't run the ball inside the 5. You can't run the ball in short yardage. All the best teams in pro football can. If you cannot find a culture changing interior player or two, Willie Lampkin, Tyler Booker, you're going to be up against it. You got to find a culture changing
elevator pitch.
What's that?
We're giving him the same thing.
I think you got to have a culture changing offensive lineman, okay, in the interior. But then the other thing I would say to him is, John, this is the greatest day 3 undersized linebacker draft I can ever remember. There's so many good undersized day 3 linebackers. I would say to him, if it was me, I would want to trade back, see if I could get a couple of extra picks in that 7th round and draft like 4 linebackers. Like Nick Martin, David Benda, Simon from Ohio State, Eugene Asante, Chandler Martin. You got, what do you got at linebacker right now? You used to have Fred and Aziz and Dre. Now you only have Fred and D Winters, just a guy. Jalen Graham, just a guy. The other guys are special teamers. You got nothing. You used to have the best linebacking core in the game. Rebuild your awesome linebacking core by investing a couple of day 3, 6th or 7th round picks in Eugene Asante, Chandler Martin, David Benda, Nick Martin, Cody Simon. I mean, go find. There's 10 to 12 undersized stud linebackers. Go get 3 or 4 of them in the last round.
Larry, at 11 o'clock, I'm getting into the Warriors seriously screwing things up on Sunday. And really the serious screw up was the loss to San Antonio that left them in position that they fell into an epic Masters. We're going to talk about that at 11. And I got to take a leak before we get going. So, by the way, was that 2 babes going to be in Japan? DM me on Twitter. We might do a Plus Mania in Japan. There could be 4 of us over there. We will try to put that together. Hit me up on Twitter, please. And Larry, let's go ahead and hop into some supers quickly. We got to
M. Baker, miss you guys. Life has been too busy. Let's go Niners.
Thank you, Baker.
Danky Kang. Sounds like there's momentum towards Jalen Walker at 5. Should the Niners trade up for Graham if the draft goes that way, or better to stand pat? I definitely would not trade up for Graham. I like Graham, and I see why people like him. He's a really interesting player on 1st and 2nd down. But this guy's got a bad body. He's not a pass rusher. I would take him at 11 if he falls, but you know what? He's not my favorite prospect. I got to be honest.
Look at it this way. When Indiana beat Michigan, gobbling him up all day was part of the game, and they did it. Indiana slowed him down all day.
Yeah. He's got a bad body, dude. I mean,
why?
Yeah, but we're not drafting you. Boxing fan times 4. Who will have the better career, Shamar Stewart or Nick Scorton? Shamar Stewart all day, every day. Scorton is a nice player. Started at Purdue, was really good there. He's a solid NFL player. Shamar Stewart is awesome. All this talk about, I've had some of my buddies sending me this text strand this week, and all my buddies who are like on the same season ticket deal, and they're all super negative and with all these opinions on Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart has the best motor and led A&M in pressures. So no more of this. He had no production. He had no sack production. But guess what? Daniil Hunter had 2 sacks his final year at LSU. He's been pretty good. So I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Shamar Stewart, stay clear," but you know what? I think Shamar Stewart's stud. I think he's gonna be a major stud. Jerry Martinez, I think Tataroa McMillan will have a greater impact than a defensive player who you can find at a greater value in later rounds. Okay, yeah, there is a chance that the Niners go with some skill position guys, and he could be one. Rob Martin says, "Hey, Larry, tell us all about the old guy that trained you during your scout days."
Doesn't that happen just throughout every show?
Yeah, Bill Urbanek was my. Well, actually, I worked for three guys. I worked for Bill Urbanek, I worked for Joe Woolley, and I worked for Rick Mueller.
But Bill
with the
Urbanek is the
Sacramento-
accent that you always do. The Larry.
Let me tell you, boy, he's no longer with us. I lost him last year. He's a great friend. He was almost like a second father to me. And he taught me so much about life. He really did. Great guy and a great eye for personnel. And we had some great knockdown, drag out arguments. Fuji Simeon, who is your Will Levis for this year's draft? A projected first rounder in the green room who surprisingly drops to the second round or later rounds. That's
Dart?
a good one. Who do you got?
Jackson Dart. They're going to have the camera on him starting at about 18 and watch him fall. Unless the Saints get frisky at 9, I don't know. But I think he's a first round talent who goes second round.
That's a really tough one. I would probably say we have to go a first round talent that falls to round 2. I'll give you one. I think there's a very good chance that Jihad Campbell, who's a really good stacked linebacker for Alabama, falls out of the first round, and I think he could be snapped up like in one of the first couple picks of day 2. He's really good, but for whatever reason, sometimes the stack backers slip. We got this one from Silent. Chris Sims blew his load on Kyle Williams. That's good imagery. Joseph Ernberg brings his positivity.
The Niners can't add anybody to this team named Kyle Williams. They're 0 for 1 on Kyle Williams's. No more.
Look at Joseph. Joseph Ernberg wouldn't be a day if it didn't start with a negative thought from Joseph Ernberg. Get Riley Leonard, boot Dookie Arm Purdy out the door. Great.
I love consistency. I love the consistency, Joseph.
Ernberg running this one back. You just watch Grant. Trade Purdy to the Saints for their first round pick. I wonder where you got that idea. Fuji Simeon, Palm Sunday miracle. Giants won a series versus the Yankees. Yes, it was.
Look,
yesterday was Palm Sunday. Hope everybody had a great Palm Sunday.
Giants are cooking.
You got a quick thought on the Giants? They just won 2 out of 3 in the Bronx. They're going to take on the Phillies tonight.
I mean, the
Giants look real.
The litmus test absolutely continues. I had no idea that Wilmer Flores was going to be the runaway MVP of the National League this year, but he's off to that start. Let's see if he can keep that up. Hopefully, here's the thing. They're more than just William Flores, this hot start. Jung-Hoo Lee can play. Matt Chapman's one of the best players in baseball that I don't give the respect to of being one of the best players in all of baseball. He really is. From his eye to his glove to his leadership to his everything. He's just fantastic. And again, Jung-Hoo Lee is the one big Farhan gift that might actually work out, although I did see Sons of Johnny LeMasters post his contract, and he's like, do you know that Jung-Hoo Lee's got a player out after 2026 or 2027? So even the one good contract that Farhan might have given out has a fuck you San Francisco Giants built into it. He was really working for the Dodgers the entire time, Larry. I'm convinced of it.
Jung-Hoo looks great. He's hitting 352 with a 426 on base. But, I mean, I look at it this way. He was going to look great, right? I mean, you're paying this guy $19 million a year for 6 years.
We dumped all over it. We dumped all over it in its moment.
Yeah, but first of all, the guy hit 260 last year. According to the people who know him, he's not going to hit more than 10 or 12 home runs. He's got 3 right now. We'll see about that. But that he's also not going to steal more than 10 or 12 bases. So if a guy steals 10 or 12 bases, if he hits 10 or 12 home runs, and you're paying him $19 million a year, to me, what that tells me is he's got to be a great center fielder, and he is, but he also has got to hit for a big-time average. He's got to hit a solid 280 plus. I mean, I don't think that's asking too much. To give a guy $19 million, he doesn't have a lot of power, doesn't have a lot of speed. If he can play center field and hit 280, I guess it's worth $19 million. It still seems like a dramatic overpay, but he's not. You knew he was going to be far better than he was last year because they're paying him $19 million a year. I mean, if he was literally 260 with no power, no speed, and he's got 2 surgeries on his shoulder already, I mean, he had to fire with something big for the amount of money that he got. And he is a good player. I mean, you paid a ton for the player. He is a good player. Now,
and look, I don't know if
he's going to win the batting title. I don't know if he's going to win the batting title, but I hope he does.
I don't know.
I love the way he plays center field.
I don't know if I attach to it significance and it's real or not, but I mean, he homered at Yankee Stadium, man. Like showing up at Yankee Stadium, I think means a little something. You're trying to establish yourself, and he homered at Yankee Stadium. And the Giants took 2 out of 3. And they're 11-4 to start this season, and nobody had that coming out of the gates. So, Buster
not only
Ball,
that, not only are they 11-4. I mean, look at the truth of their situation. They're 11-4. Ramos is hitting 206. Adames is hitting 186.
They're getting nothing out of the young guys yet.
I mean, Wilmer Flores is hit for power, but he's hitting 255. It's not like he's just destroying the baseball.
255 is very respectable these days.
Matt Chapman's hitting 176. Lamont Wade is hitting 114. Tyler Fitzgerald's hitting 237. Bailey's hitting 189. Matos is hitting 263. They're Casey Schmidt's hitting 200. My point is just that they are off to a hot start, and I think there's more there. You know what I mean? I think they're going to be better, Damon. I really do. So we'll see. Very exciting.
There you go.
By the way, Warrior gag last night.
Love seeing these two together. And then he follows it up. Got Batman versus Superman right here. Well, thank you very, very much. If you haven't subscribed to Superman, but have subscribed to Batman, please vice versa that. Subscribe all the way around. Larry, I'm very happy to report we're over 40,000 subs. It's been an incredible growth 28-day cycle. I've got a video that has hit 11 million.
Dude, you've picked up 10,000 subs in a week.
It's insane. Since March 25th, I've picked up 10,000 subs. Since March 25th. I hit 30,000 on my birthday.
You'll be passing me May 10th. May 10th, you'll be passing me. We'll start a little contest. When will Damon's channel pass Larry's channel in subs? Probably at this rate, probably by June 1st. You'll probably have 100,000 by July, maybe 150,000 by Christmas.
I can tell you right now that I've seen me tick, 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 up the roller coaster. And this past weekend, we began our radical descent back down to normalcy. So I don't think you really need to worry about anybody, catching you by the tail here anytime soon. But if I do, I'll remember you when I am somebody. I promise.
All you new Damon Bruce subs, start watching some of these streams. We would appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much to everyone. I got to run. It's going to be a great week. Huge week for the Warriors is a big understatement. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe all around. Cheers.
Warriors go what, Tuesday night, something like
Tuesday
that.
Night if they lose, Friday night for their lives.
Wow. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Thanks to Clawdaddy Arcades. Thanks to Learn Keys Upskill Academy. The links are in the description below. Thanks to all of you. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.